Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Lety Celeste. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for all of your dedication and your support. If you're new to this channel, hello, welcome. My name is Lety Celeste and I make health, fitness, and wellness videos. So if you like that type of content, make sure to subscribe and leave a like on this video. So today I will be talking about my health and fitness journey, my weight loss journey, why I started to gain weight, how I lost it, and how I'm currently maintaining it. So if you would like to see how I transformed from this to this, just keep watching. Oh, without further ado, let's just get started. So for most of my life, I had always been like the skinny girl, you know. I never had to really worry about my weight or what I was eating. Most nights my mother had cooked dinner for me and my family. We were always like the type of family that ate dinner together. So I was eating a lot of like fresh home cooked meals. And then whenever I wasn't eating those meals and I was with friends or at school, I was like not too crazy conscious about like my diet. I would have stuff like fries, cookie, pizza, like literally every single day, and it didn't even matter. Like I don't know why, but my metabolism was quick enough to keep up with me, and I was still, whenever I was eating with my family, I was still eating pretty decently healthy. I never really had to pay a crazy amount of attention to the things that I was eating. I would just sort of like eat whenever I was hungry, eat whenever, and it was never really a big deal. It kind of worked out. So fast forward to me graduating high school and starting my first semester of college. I did become victim of the freshman 15, or in my case it was more like the freshman 25 because I had gained a lot of weight. Primarily because my freshman year of college, I moved away from home, and also another thing about me is that because my mother cooked so often, I had never had to cook for myself ever. Literally growing up, I would like make box brownies, end up messing it up somehow. I barely knew how to make ice. I was the worst cook ever. And now cooking is one of my passions. But at that time in my life, I had hated cooking. I was just like,
you know what? Whenever I grow up, I'm gonna be rich and I'm gonna have a maid. So like, who cares? Whatever.
So by the time that I had moved out, I was just like, whatever, I'm not gonna cook anything. I'm gonna eat out every day. I was also in a serious relationship too. So I didn't care about putting on weight. Like I put on that comfortable weight, you know, like I was comfortable. I was like, you know what, if I gain weight, my boyfriend's still gonna love me, like whatever.
I can get a little pudgier, like I don't care, my boyfriend still loves me.
All that stuff. So I had gained a lot of weight because I had been eating out a lot. I was not cooking for myself because I didn't know how to cook. And whenever I did cook for myself, it was always things like super highly processed foods. Like my go-to, I remember, was Velveeta mac and cheese. I love that. I still to this day love it. It's still delicious. I just don't eat it as much, definitely. But I would have like 2 or 3 of those a day. My diet, I'm telling you, my diet consisted of a Velveeta macaroni and cheese, Dunkin' Donuts, Chick-fil-A, and whenever I would get a Chick-fil-A, I would get 2 spicy chicken sandwiches, waffle fries, and a milkshake. Don't forget about the milkshake. Oreo cookies and cream milkshake. IHOP. I would go to IHOP all the time. When I tell you that I knew the IHOP staff by name, even if they didn't have their name tag, like if I would know all of them.
I was like, oh hey Chris, what's up?
Like I knew all of them. So my diet was very, very poor. It was a culmination of like being like stressed out from school. I was also like an emotional eater. So if I was like ever really stressed out, I'd be like, oh my God, girl, you're so stressed out. Like you deserve that ice cream. Like eat that entire tub of ice cream. Or whenever I was like really happy, I'd be like, oh my God, girl, like let's celebrate. Let's eat this entire tub of ice cream. So like I would just always justify everything whenever it came to eating and overeating. And I remember there was a point in my life where the primary goal when eating, especially if I was eating out, was to feel disgustingly sick. Like I wanted to sit there and I was like, I want to be so full that it feels like my stomach is ripping open. Like I just didn't understand that was bad. That's not the goal. That should not be the goal. So I really did just struggle with not eating to the point where I was satiated, but eating to the point where I was literally sick. I was always like, if I don't feel like I'm sick, I'm doing something wrong. And it's just like not healthy. It's not a healthy mentality. So clearly, Within that 6-month time span, I gained a lot of weight. Primarily like my freshman year of college, I was pretty overweight and I just had really bad eating patterns. And then around the start of my sophomore year, I was like, okay, there needs to be some change. So I decided to make changes in my eating patterns whenever I started to feel self-conscious about myself. So again, growing up, I was never ever self-conscious about my weight. I was never self-conscious about my appearance, really. I love taking pictures, being around friends, like wearing bathing suits. Like I love going into like clothing stores and going to dressing rooms, trying on a bunch of different clothing. And that's always been something that I really, really liked. And then I started to notice that dressing rooms became more and more depressing because I had a really poor self-image because of all of the actual weight gain. I was starting to feel really bad about myself. I remember that there were times whenever I would literally look into the mirror and would just cry. Anytime I would go into the dressing room, I just felt so discouraged. I would look at myself, and the thing about my weight gain is that I never really noticed that I was actively gaining weight until I was about 30 pounds up, and it almost seemed like I just woke up one day and I just had all of this extra weight. And it was like, oh my God, I'm so much bigger than I was yesterday. But really, it wasn't the person that I was yesterday that I had in my mind. It was the person that I was in high school. So that was kind of weird. That was kind of like a weird realization, like waking up and like, oh my God, I'm so big. So I decided that I really needed to make a change whenever self-image was poor, whenever I didn't want to go clothing shopping anymore because that meant having to shop in larger sizes. I would look in the mirror and I would cry, and then I would also really rely on my boyfriend at that time for a lot of my self-love. So to really feel validated and to feel beautiful, I just 100% relied on other people to tell me like, oh no girl, you're so beautiful. Like I did not believe it myself. And so that's whenever I knew that I was like, okay, I need to make a change because this is bad and I look really different and I'm not happy with myself and this is progressing really poorly. So I made a change, and let me tell you, these changes did not come easily. There were so many times when I had to like start and stop my diet and start it again and stop it. It was like this vicious cycle where I completely hated myself and hated how I looked. So I would start the super intense diet and go 100% all in and be super dedicated, and then I would absolutely burn out and get tired and get rid of it and go back to all of my old habits. So then I would be even more disappointed with myself, and I would go back to hating myself, and then I would be even heavier than whenever I first started off. And then I would be like, you know what, I need to start another diet again and go back to the gym, wake up at 5 in the morning and eat nothing but greens and all this stuff. And it was just a cycle that kept repeating itself, and it was so exhausting. So I knew for a long time that I had to make a change, and I was attempting to make changes, but my efforts were always futile and never really got me anywhere because of the way that I was doing it. This is how I actually made some lasting changes to my weight loss and started to really live a healthier lifestyle permanently and not just get stuck in that cycle. Because after doing that for a few times, I did recognize like, wow, this is a cycle and it's just making things worse and it's making me feel worse about myself. I shouldn't equate my worth to my weight. And right now, if I was a person that I was today, I would not associate my personal satisfaction so much with my weight. But at that moment in time, that's where I was. And my friend that I was talking about earlier that I had really relied on for my self-image, we had split. So I was really just in a bad space mentally. And I knew that I had to make a change, and a definitive change. So I recognized all of these patterns of behavior, and I was like, okay. So what I decided to do was start making gradual changes. So up until that point, I'd been trying to make really dramatic changes so that I could see really quick results instantly. I wanted that instant gratification of like, oh wow, like I lost like 5 inches like in a month. But I had to realize like that is 1, not sustainable, and 2, not a healthy way of living. So if I wanted to actually lose that much weight, I couldn't do that in a healthy manner that quickly. So I had to realize that I had to make gradual changes. So I first started off by cutting off all of my sugary drinks because I had been the type of person to go to Dunkin' Donuts a lot, get coffee with sugar and creamer and this and that and all of that. So I decided to just start strictly drinking my coffee black. And then I decided to just drink water. So just black coffee, water, and sometimes green tea. Like I still drink green tea today too. But the big thing was just stop drinking my calories. That was a little bit of a change to make, but once I started off there, it was a really good place to start, because you never really realize how many calories you can consume while drinking. You drink to sort of like complement a meal, and you never actually realize like, oh wow, like I just drank 250 calories with this soda or with this coffee or something like that. So I just stuck strictly to coffee and water. And after making that change, I realized that I was upping my water intake just naturally, because that was the only thing that I was drinking. So I would start drinking a glass of water before my meal so that I could feel a little bit full. And then I also changed my mindset as to how I should feel after a meal, because previously I had been like, I need to feel disgustingly full for me to be complete. That's how I know that I'm done eating. I need to be disgustingly full. So I switched that mentality to being like, no, I just need to not be hungry. I just need to be satisfied. I just need to be satiated. That's it. So I would drink my water. I would eat my meal. I would eat the right portion sizes, pay attention to the serving sizes as well. And with that, the water coupled with the appropriate size of the meal, I was able to eat a good portion and not overeat. But I started to do that. Then the third thing that I did, I would say that this was like a few months into like my weight loss journey. I hadn't seen like any super dramatic changes, but you know, I was a few pounds down. Something that I stopped doing was getting on the scale, because I knew that if after a week of like clean eating, if I got on the scale and I saw that same number, I would be immediately discouraged, and I would be like, oh, well, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing wrong? I haven't even changed a pound. Like, what's going on? So I just stopped going on the scale altogether. And I needed to do that just for my own like sanity. At that time in my life, again, I just really equated my self-worth to my weight, which was absolutely incorrect. And I knew that if I continued to just check on my weight, I was just going to feel worse about myself. And if I was making the efforts and I felt better and I felt like I was looking better, then who cares about that number on that scale? So I stopped weighing myself, because I knew that it was just going to discourage me, because weight loss is slow. It's a slow process, especially for doing it healthy in a healthy manner. It's very slow. So I stopped checking the weight. And then another thing that I did, I started intermittent fasting. And this is whenever I saw probably the most dramatic weight loss. With intermittent fasting, there are a bunch of different ways to do it, but the way that I did it was 16-hour fast followed by an 8-hour eating window. So naturally, I was going to eat less in the day because there was a smaller window of eating. So I was going to consume less calories. And basically the key to weight loss is to remain in a caloric deficit. So intermittent fasting is a really easy way to remain in a caloric deficit without paying too crazy an amount of attention to it, because you're naturally just consuming one less meal basically. And then it also gives your body enough time to fully digest everything. And there is a plethora of health information, a bunch of studies that have been conducted to show like why it's beneficial for not only your diet but also your mind and everything. It's a really good thing to get into, and I've always recommended intermittent fasting to anyone who has been trying to lose weight. Of course, I'm not a nutritionist or anything, so definitely consult your physician first before making any dramatic changes into your diet. But yeah, really the key to weight loss is just maintaining in a caloric deficit. There are like a few calorie calculators that you can sort of find online, and I can link the one that I have down below, where you can find what your basic metabolic rate is, and that's just your BMR. So your BMR is basically whenever you're not doing any sort of physical activity at all whatsoever. If you are just bedridden and remaining completely stagnant, not doing anything at all whatsoever, how many calories will your body just naturally burn if you're doing nothing at all? So it's going to give you a number based off of your age, your height, your weight, and all of that. So that's what I did. I tracked my BMR, and then I added about like 100 to 200 calories on top of that number that they gave me, because I knew that I wasn't like bedridden all day. I was a college student. I was walking around campus a lot. I was going up and down flights of steps for work. I wasn't going to the gym or anything like that, but I was still moving around enough in my day that I knew that I was at least burning some sort of calories. So I calculated that basic metabolic rate, added about 100 to 200 calories to that number, and that way I was still able to stay in a small caloric deficit. It was a combination of intermittent fasting, calculating my BMR, adding a tiny bit on top of that BMR number to account for the exercise that I was doing naturally throughout the day, and then just finding meals that fit within that sort of caloric range. So really for this first like six to 8 months of my weight loss journey, I had not stepped foot into a gym at all whatsoever. The gym had always been a place that was kind of overwhelming for me, not knowing what to do whenever I got to the gym, like thinking that people were going to be judging me for the way that I looked or how I was doing my exercises, or like being approached by guys. Like I just didn't really know how to like navigate it at all. So it was always something that was super daunting to me, and I was like, I'm not gonna do it. You know what, I'm just gonna stay home and focus on eating healthy, which is a good way to start. If the gym scares you, I would definitely recommend just focusing on your diet first and then adding the gym onto it, because now like I go to the gym 5 to 6 days a week and I love the gym. It's like my favorite place in the world. So your attitude can change as you gain that confidence and you feel better about yourself. But anyway, so I started intermittent fasting. I started counting my calories, and honestly the weight just started shedding off after that. But the biggest thing that I had to do was to not make any drastic changes too quickly and understand that the entire process was going to take time. It was going to take a lot of time, and I just had to be very patient with it, because with any healthy weight loss, it's going to take time. It's going to take grit and perseverance, because if you just make little eensy weeny tiny bit of changes, like slowly cutting off sugary drinks and learning how to cook different recipes, and then eating within a specific time window. And even if you want to like start intermittent fasting slowly and not just go fully to like the 16-8, you could do like a 14-10 or something like that. Like slowly, gradually make the fast longer and longer and longer. If you want to start initially with a shorter fast, and then work your way up to 8 hours. I know some people actually do like 1 meal a day, and I did sort of dabble with doing the 1 meal a day sort of thing, but I was not getting enough calories in doing that, so I stopped doing that pretty quickly. So that's how I was able to lose a good bit of weight. And after I had shed a few pounds, we were in quarantine, and I was like, I wonder how much I weigh. Like, I honestly had no idea. I had no concept at all whatsoever about how much I weighed. It was almost like with my weight gain, like how one day I woke up and I was just bigger. With my weight loss, it seemed like one day I woke up and I was just smaller, and I'm like, what? These things are loose? What is going on? I can fit into this mini skirt again, what? So it was just like that. I stepped onto the scale and I was like, I wonder if I'm at my high school weight yet. So I looked, and I was actually 10 pounds below my high school weight, and I was like, so that's where I'm at right now. At that point, I was pretty slim, still within healthy weight, of course. And that's whenever I had decided to start working out more. I had a trip to Puerto Rico in March of 2020 that unfortunately got canceled because of coronavirus. And we had planned this out for months. So it's not like we were like, screw the pandemic, whatever, we're going to Puerto Rico. We had planned this out for months for my spring break. So I was like, you know what? I really just want to get fit and toned for my vacation to Puerto Rico. So it was about January of 2020 whenever I decided to like start going to the gym and working out for real and like getting toned up and shredded. And I kept saying like, I want a snatched waist. I want a snatched waist for Puerto Rico. Snatched waist for Puerto Rico, March 2020. I'm going to be living my best life with a snatched waist. But I went to the gym very consistently for those 3 months. I just watched a bunch of YouTube tutorials on how to use like different machinery and equipment and like different workouts. So I went to the gym pretty consistently from January to March. And then the world flipped outside of his head and got turned around, and my trip was canceled, but I had already been in that habitual pattern of going to the gym, but then the gyms were shut down. So then I had to just transfer over to at-home workouts, which I did for a while. And I have not turned back since. So I did a bunch of at-home workouts, and then whenever the gyms opened back up, I started going to the gyms again. And so now I have a little bit more of definition. I'm up a few pounds from where I was back at the start of the year, but it's a lot of muscle weight, which is good. And I'm not I'm not unhappy about it. So yeah, that is basically it. I hope that you guys found this video somewhat interesting. In essence, to lose weight, what I did was just to make slow, gradual changes, really focus on my diet for the first 6 months of my weight loss journey, and then slowly, once I build up my confidence, then I started going to the gym. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video. Please leave any questions, comments, concerns down below in the comments, and please do subscribe and like if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content. Really appreciate you guys watching throughout the entire thing. So thank you so much for sticking around, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Okay, bye.